Call this meeting to order. Jen, could you do a roll call for us, please?
Tom McDonald,
Here.
Anita Matt,
Present.
Jennifer Finley,
Here.
Jim Molitor,
Here.
Carol Langford, Len Titi, Bing Matt,
Here.
Ellie Bundy,
Present.
Martin Charlo,
Present.
Mike Dolson,
I'm here.
James Dale Senior.
Thank you, Jen. Len, can I ask you to start us out in a prayer this morning?
Show us the people that need the help. And Grandfather, today we ask that you be with our children and our veterans and our elders. And then we continue to ask you and thank you for all the blessings that you give us every single day. We pray for our water, our animals, our plants, the clean air you give us. And I ask you all this in Creator's name, amen.
Thank you, Len. We have the minutes from February 10th before you. Go ahead, Ellie.
Abby, on page 5, where it's indented to start with motion by Martin Charlo, construction of the DHRD, the bus barn, just take out the word the.
Martin.
Let me change my mode. I apologize. Page 3. I guess it would be the sentence where it starts, if we're holding them. Can I change holding to moving them?
Motion to approve corrections.
Motion by Len to approve the February 10th council meeting minutes with corrections. Is there a second? Second by Ellie. Ellie abstains. She was motion or seconded by Jennifer. All those in favor of approving the February 10th tribal council minutes with corrections, show of sign of hands. All those in favor, unanimous. One abstain with Ellie. Okay, we have our agenda. Of course, first on our agenda was to recognize Carol Langford's birthday today, so those out there know. Wish Carol a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Carol. The agenda, any corrections to the agenda, any additions to the agenda? Martin?
I'll give an update and open, please.
Okay, we had Martin with an update. Anita?
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to bring the council up to date on the meetings that Carol and I had last week in regard to the Dixon Agency project.
Okay, thank you. We'll add that too. Any other agenda additions, corrections? None. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda with additions. Motion by Anita, second by Mike. All those in favor, show of hands. Unanimous? Thank you. Okay, we'll start out with Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to wish everybody that was happy that the Rams won the Super Bowl. A big thumbs up. Not the team I was cheering for, but I didn't really have a dog in the fight, so.
Just one thing, Martin, just so you know, that some of us that are avid Grizzly fans is that Cooper Kupp, you know, he was a spoiler for a long time, you know, just so you know.
I mean, and people were cheering for him because he was from Eastern, so. That's kind of why I was, yeah, I wasn't sad that they lost. So with COVID, as usual, we are actually, I am not even gonna say I'm optimistic, but there are some signs that I'm looking at that are positives. You know, having a decline obviously is the best thing for us in this area. Still a lot of cases to the north and south of us. You know, the more populous places with Omicron being the dominant strain right now, very easily transmissible. So just be careful out there. You know, it also is flu season. I think a lot of people are getting that this year. So, you know, just be safe out there. If you're sick, you know, take precautions. And I think today is Random Act of Kindness Day. So this is something I stumbled across a couple years ago at a workshop or something. And it's basically you just go out and do something nice randomly, and it doesn't have to be anybody you know or anybody you've seen. They actually have little cards that the lady gave to me. I still have it. I haven't done my random act of kindness because I'm so kind every day that it exudes out of me. So I don't need a card to do that. No, really, the funny thing is I haven't done that because I want to keep that card and make copies of it. And so I do have it here somewhere that I'll do. So it's, you know, buy someone a cup of coffee behind you or pay for their meal. You know, write a note to someone that you feel is doing a good job. You know, let someone in traffic. You know, just be a good person. You know, I think that's in this day and age we're lacking that. We're lacking civility, and we shouldn't have to have a day to do those type of things. But it's always good. You know, coming out of COVID, hopefully, knock on as much wood as I possibly can. You know, we need to get back to that. And that was one of the things that with, you know, I think that we as being good neighbors and everything, we owe that to everyone else. So, you know, our numbers as of yesterday, we have 89 active in Lake County, 23 new cases. So even our new cases are slower, and that could be also those numbers could be a little bit skewed because of all the at-home tests that people do, and maybe coming up positive. And if you guys watch The Walking Dead, not if you're running around sick, it's like hiding a zombie bite. So don't be that guy. Those people didn't fare well in Walking Dead. and try to, you know, crack a joke. That random act of kindness could just be making someone smile. You know, it's hard to do when you have masks on all the time, but dry sarcasm usually either comes across very funny or very ill received. So I'll continue doing what I'm doing. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Be safe out there. Winter is here again for about 4 hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Were great words. Just a reminder, we do have some small, well, not a reminder. I think Shane talked about it the other day a little bit. Shane Morjo. We do have some small note cards that will be used by you if you want to send out notes to, you know, constituents or other folks, congratulating them or honoring them or happy birthday or whatever it might be. So it's real personal. You can sign it and send out. So attaboys, attagirls are really good. And so that's a good thing that Martin just reminded me of that. So those hopefully will be in by next week. And there's those special recognitions, you know, whether it's really cool when someone's recognized for their artistic ability or getting into the Cowboy Hall of Fame or, you know, wherever it might be. You know, it's nice to be able to send a note out to our folks and say, congratulations, you know, that's a job well done. So look forward to doing that. So keep your list and think about that. So next is Anita.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and fellow council members. I just wanted to update you. Carol and I had been talking about trying to do some projects, and one that we want to start with is the Dixon Agency. We met last week with Pat Matt and started throwing some brainstorming, trying to throw some names and departments in there. And what we'd like to do is to possibly find funding to give a facelift to the Dixon Agency and do some possible cleanup and get some development going down there to where that it's more appealing and that the people would take some pride in it. And being that we got the new building, so we threw together a bunch of ideas that we all had. And I'd like tribal council support. I'm not asking for funding. I think that's something that we're going to try to do outside of this. And Pat thought he had some ideas even for some kind of a grant writer, if we could get a little money there and get a grant writer to help us write for that project. But I think it'd be good to start with one home site and like a pilot project and go around the reservation in each town if it's successful. So I really appreciate Carol's help and Pat's. And anyway, I just wanted you guys to be abreast of it from the beginning. So we'll keep following up on it as we go. We're going to continue to meet. Carol, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, it was really nice just to sit and talk about some of the things that happened down there, and then some of the things that we can possibly do, like painting the homes, taking the old buildings out, mowing the whole place, and just doing a major cleanup, and then painting the homes. We have a church that has already talked about giving us money, not money, but paint and people and all of the stuff that goes along with, you know, taking care of those homes. And so to me, it's an exciting project. And I was even thinking just now about asking maybe the governor, but I don't know. I want to know from council. But, you know, he's quite the, you know, philanthropist. And he might, you know, if he hears of a project that we're doing to do a cleanup and, you know, trying to make this community a better place for people to live, and explain on what kind of home, what kind of place it has been way in the past, a beautiful, beautiful place. And there's also even talk about changing the name back to what it was, not what it was, but where the family that originated there. And of course, that would all come from the culture committees and a lot of discussion with a lot of people. And I don't know about renaming, but we've renamed other places. And so, Dixon is just not the ideal name. And so, I think the most spendy part of the whole thing will be the trees. There's massive dead trees down there that need to be removed and taking it out. And then, of course, we have forestry who can come in and we can get our trees and stuff and replant and those kind of things. But it's just an exciting project just to think, man, you know, we can make a difference. And even somebody talked about being gated and then the cameras, and we can change things for people and give them pride in where they live, and hopefully it changes and people will want to move down there because there's a lot of sites available. And I think there's a new water system down there, and if they go in and redo the roads, because I think there is a new, that's on the tip. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Anita.
Go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the council, and thank you, Anita and Carol. Yeah, this is a great project and I would highly support it. Understanding how long it takes to obtain grant funding, you know, that could be a while. And just knowing the fact that this council has really cut back on travel, I would support using the council budget to, you know, for special projects such as this, so we can get going on it right away, immediately. I mean, because, you know, you really think about Dixon, it is located in one of the most beautiful areas, right adjacent to the Bison range, between Flathead River. I mean, that is an area that can, we could really enhance and make it look like it once did at one, you know, and make people proud of that particular area. But right now, I would support just using council budget to just get us started rather than waiting for funding. Let's just, if we could get it going right away on it this spring, let's do it and fund it. So thank you.
Our plan is to have it done this spring. It might take 2 weekends, but that's what our goal is. And we're thinking May, when we, 1st of May, because when you get into the end of May, you're starting graduation and all of that. So we're trying to expedite the process, but thank you for that, Lynn.
Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Anita, Carol. Yeah, that's been something that I've been looking at as far as the post and pole yard. They've finished the Brownsfield part. They reported out at one of Anita's district meetings. You know, I'd like to see a walking path down through there and maybe some development of those docks, or not even the docks, but the just the river access. I mean, it's still a beautiful place. And so that was part of the discussion with, I forget who the person was there, but yeah, Mary Rose Morjo is, you know, voiced her support. I'm already talking with Tony in Cashola. I wish I could have come to the meeting the other day about that area, getting it cleared, either, you know, maybe introducing some fire to that, clearing off all the weeds and everything to the post and pole yard, and then, like I said, doing a walking path, and then disc golf course through there. And it could be a really, you know, that could be part of it, you know. And that's the thing with Dixon, though, is you need to get some infrastructure down there. If you're going to do anything, you know, there needs to be a store. I mean, talk about a food desert. I mean, it's a food nothing, you know. There's nothing there for, you know, you can go to the cantina, you know, when they're open, but that's not real healthy food. It's good food, don't get me wrong. Tom Herrick does a good job down there. I get my dad food there occasionally, but you know, as far as actual grocery stores or things like that, we need to think about that. So food security would be involved, you know, the homelessness. I mean, that ties into every kind of resolution that we passed. And you know, that's not Dixon. That is the agency. If you look on maps, that's what it's called. So you wouldn't have to, you know. And I would love to get rid of the Dixon name. Sorry, all you demons, but Dixon was not very kind to our tribes here, so, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Nita.
the other thing that we discussed is in the future and the People Center had that pavilion up there. Well, I think everybody in here knows about the stick games that used to go on down at Dixon. We thought about even being able to move that pavilion down there and start some celebrations at some time. And so we're thinking future, but we'd appreciate any help if anyone wants to pitch in with us and bring their ideas. And I'm having my district meeting next Wednesday, so bring it to the people again and get them engaged. So we're pretty excited over it. So thank you.
Thank you, Anita and Carol. You know, it's great to be able to do that. It sounds like, you know, the improvements you're talking about are really sweat equity. So the costs are pretty minimal. And I think Len's idea is really outstanding. Yeah, what a great place. I mean, I spent the first year that we moved back to the reservation was living at the agency. And so, yeah, couldn't be better for a young boy. Have the river on one side and the Bison Range on the other. It was absolutely wonderful to spend the summer at the Bison Range and along the river at the agency. So yeah, a lot of good opportunity. It's a great opportunity also for some of the Bison Range personnel to be able to relocate and live in that vicinity, and that saves a whole bunch of travel and gets them right at the back door of their work site. Great opportunity there. So, and as far as, you know, other improvements that could take place, as some of you know, in the what I call Dixon, which is the place of the wild plums for me, Chinchlet or whatever you want to reference that area, is that the boat ramp that we have, the access point that we have at the old Dixon Bridge, we were able to get that easement abandoned and turned over to the tribes. And then we ended up with a 99-year easement we got from a local landowner to build that little Dixon Park and boat access. Well, over time, the river has changed its course. And so that channel is essentially drying up. And it's just the way rivers do, you know. So to have a meaningful boat ramp in that area or access with a boat, whether it's, you know, what we do is light watercraft. It's not big boats. We're talking about small boats, you know, hand launch boats or small trailer boats and a horsepower limit of 15. And during the spring, there's no motors allowed for the majority of recreationists. And so there is a need for a new boat launch, and a new boat launch could be at the Post and Pole Yard in Dixon. And so there could be some additional funding from the dam mitigation program to enhance the area that's Martin's talking about into more of a recreational site. And so it could be a new recreation access for the river. It could be everything, you know, we're talking about. I don't know about broadcast burning that with all the wood buried in the ground, but certainly there's room to improve there. So I'll mention it to the Fisheries Program, and Wildland Rec Program is another item. If, and again, this would require council approving a new river access site at that location. So then we could bring some extra money to bear to it. Yeah, Martin.
And I spoke with Whisper about that because there are osprey nests down there on the, what is it, southeast side, or yeah, but one of those nests fell down, so it's, I mean, that'd be the other thing I would love to do is, I mean, they seem to love it there, and the amount of eagles that you see on top of telephone poles around the area, I mean, it'd be nice to have some nesting areas for them as well. And the part that we're talking about as far as burning is up on top, where they think that there shouldn't be as much, like, you know, there's, oh yeah, and they still got to get all the wood ends, all those ends. There's like I don't know how many tons of, and that's the other thing, that there's a company out of Missoula that's actually going to purchase those and haul them. So they're on it. So we just got to work with Brownsfield, and I think they would develop it. So there's funding for that part. And this isn't what they're doing, but yeah, it's more kind of public access and tribal access mainly. So.
Jimmy.
Yeah, Nita, I'm glad to hear you talk about that stick game part of Dixon. I mean, that was, brought back a lot of memories. My grandparents and everybody that played stick game down in that area at the old Hewicorn's home. I think we should do something to bring that back. I mean, just to memorialize it in some way because of all the people, the elders that we all knew that played stick game down there. I used to camp down there along the river, all over, just for the weekend. That seemed like the only place to go when I was a kid. Thank you.
Jennifer.
Thank you, Chairman McDonald. Anita and Carol, I just think that's a great idea and one I hugely support, you know, if there's any way that I can help. And I was just, it's so interesting. A friend and I wrote a play about that set in Dixon. And one of the things that happens in the play is they're activists and they get the name changed back to its traditional name of Wild Plums at the Convergence of Two Rivers. So I think it's really cool that you guys are very progressive and yeah, very progressive in thinking about that. And I just think it's such a beautiful place. And I think we, you know, there's so much we can do to bring it justice, to do justice to its beauty. And, you know, maybe there's an opportunity for Two Eagle River School to participate in the cleanup of that as a community project. They might be interested. And then maybe, you know, I don't know, maybe they would be interested in a school reunion since they were out there for a long time. But I just think there's so many possibilities to revitalize that community that has so much beauty. So thank you both for doing that. I think it's a really wonderful idea. Good job, you guys.
Jimmy?
Yeah, and I was just gonna mention, back in the day, I think Bing might have, and we played a lot of baseball down there. Back in the day, there's a lot of teams that played down there, and you know, it was a good place. I mean, I would love to help you clean that up too. Thank you.
Okay, well, let us know as you proceed, how we can help, but we will certainly, I'll bring it up to the Fish and Wildlife Division. Of course, Whisper will be here today. But there is definitely an opportunity to take the impromptu boat ramp that's there in the Post and Pole Yard and make that into an official site and spend some money there on recreational access under the hydropower mitigation program. So there might be some other opportunities to enhance it also. So that would bring some money to it. Anita.
Just wanted to also say we need to get a follow-up from Chelsea too on that Montana rail link. They were gonna follow up with us on those railroad cars, so that's been a thorn for 5 or 6 years straight. And they move them around now and then, but they were supposed to meet up with us again in January and they have not done that. So maybe we can ask Dan for an update from Chelsea. Thank you. And thank you all for wanting to pitch in and help us out. I look forward to it. I'm kind of excited. So thank you.
You know, I'm gonna bring my chainsaw because I love running that, cutting trees down. So go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. Just knowing the importance of a project like this, I want to put timeframes on this, and specifically establishing the river access that was just discussed on what we need to do. And I would like to know, what is the first step? When do we engage this? Who do we engage this with? Who actually is going to draw out a plan for us and implement this? Is what I would be seeking and want to know, and something that if we could get started this summer, possibly. But I would really like to find that information out and just get moving on it rather than, I mean, if there's mitigation dollars, let's let's get the departments in here and, let them know what our ideas here so they can get started on that right away.
Mr. Chairman.
Indeed, the annual report for the FWIS document is something that the council approves every year. And in that is the work plan and the budget for the next year. So they will be coming in this spring to get their work plan for next year done, which would be enhanced. What they could do for you right now is what they can afford in their existing budget that they can kind of move around to do some improvements to which would be pretty easy for a boat ramp. But as far as the bigger landscape stuff, you know, adding walking trails or some of those things that might cost a little bit more money, that would have to be something to be inserted in this year's work plan. Their submittal this year coming up in March or April. And then it would be available next fiscal year.
Mr. Chair, I thought,
Carol?
if I might, I thought also that walking path can include a interpretive, because isn't that where the mussels, the tribes used to gather mussels there in the river at the mouth of the Jocko, and I don't know if the path would go that far, but we thought about that also. So yeah, I think the time frame that we're looking at is, like I said, this real soon. And so, but I think Mr. Chairman can handle the other part and get that moving right away. That's gonna be a little bit longer term.
Thank you, Carol. Martin?
And I guess one thing to this, you know, I love the momentum that this has just got. But, you know, we have a whole reservation that has a lot of issues and a lot of problems. And again, I love that, you know, because my dad lives down there. So yeah, let's go clean it up. But, you know, our more populous, you know, Ronan, Pablo, Polson, Mission, Harley, let's not forget about them. Elmo, Hot Springs. I mean, so let's, you know, maybe get some little projects like this for every community. You know, let's not just focus on one area because, you know, it's a great idea. You know, I would love to see this momentum and this enthusiasm about a project in everyone's district. So thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead, Carol.
We have momentum. We're looking at Hot Springs next, Mike. So, but yeah, I agree, Martin. We never want to forget any community, but I thought if we could start on a pilot project and show what we can do with community involvement and people volunteering and providing products and stuff for us to use. Heck, I think we can take this a long way, but yeah, this is just the first step that I was, you know, I had envisioned because of the people that are in recovery had talked about doing some of this stuff down there. So that's kind of what got me moving on it. Just start with one place because we can't do them all at once. So thank you.
Thank you, Carol. So yeah, great headway. We'll continue the movement and discuss it with our resource staff and the executive team. See what other resources we can bring to bear, but certainly a lot of sweat equity is something that's easy to do. And I think there's a bunch of volunteers. So, you know, painting houses is basically sweat equity to me. But with that, we'll move on to our next agenda item. And I believe we have Mr. Peter Matt in the audience here.
All right.
Peter? Yes, Quicks?
This election cycle, so congratulations. Pachatish Louis Quest, sind Yetlamin Uchi Skredlu. Peter Matt's my name, Pachatish my Indian name. I always knew that to mean someone that grows up fast, which for me very much stands true. I'm pretty young, but I like to just, you know, put myself out there, let you know that if you guys ever need anything, I'm just right up in Missoula, and I'm always happy to help. Anytime I make it up here, my mom's pretty excited to see me. She lives over in Mission, so she loves for me to have an excuse to come up this way and have some lunch with her afterwards. So
Have a
Of course,
chair.
yeah, Peter.
And maybe we can have a little bit of a conversation with
Yeah,
you.
of course.
So, Peter called me right away after our election and after I was, in the office here, in the chair's office, and introduced himself. Of course, I know his dad, and his mom, and his family very well from Mission. So,
Appreciate it.
Peter graduated from the University of Montana Political Science, and he is now working as Senator Tester's right arm in Montana as his tribal liaison. And Peter has great energy, and he's on top of it. So, you know, when we have any particular issue that we want, want to make sure that the senator's office knows about it. One of the things we need to double down on is not only communicate directly with the senator, but maybe first of all, communicate with Peter and making sure that he knows what's going on and what our interests are. So, well, we're fortunate, as so many times in the past, we have a member from our tribe working for the senator. And so we want to make sure that we utilize Peter as much as possible. The great thing is that he's from our community, grew up at Saint Ignatius. And so he knows a lot of our issues and a lot of our concerns. And so we don't want to take advantage of you, but we do, Peter. We want to take advantage of you as
No,
much
please
as
do.
possible.
Please do. Yeah, thank you, Chairman McDonald. You did much better job introducing my actual job title than I did. I apologize. I worked as Senator Jester's Native American liaison. So anything that you guys have to deal with or any issues that you have to bring forward, please do at least loop me into that. I'd like to be in touch as much as possible. And like I said, it's a short trip for me. I'm just up in Missoula, so any chance I have to make it up here, I'd be happy to. While I'm here in the meantime, is there anything, I know this is just a quick little 10-minute thing, but is there anything that I should be taking back to the office with me before I head out?
Well, there's a lot of different legislation out there, and we appreciate the amount of information that's coming from this administration and the senator's office on the bipartisan infrastructure law. But as you know, that's very complicated and enormous. It's massive. And so just being able to navigate that and making sure we're talking to the right people, or, going after the funding as best we can.
Of course.
Any assistance we can from you. One of the things that's top on my list, and this is, I mentioned to the senator a long time ago because we were working on it quite a while ago and I helped draft the legislation, is, and this is paramount to me as my former job. It's called Reinvesting in American Wildlife Act. So it's RAWA. And what that does, in the first time in the history of the United States, it provides direct fish and wildlife funding to tribes. And we don't qualify for the federal excise tax fundings that are out there, like Pittman Robertson, Dickel Johnson. So those base fundings that come from taxes on sporting goods and equipment and all that stuff that states get, tribes have never been qualified for that. And so this legislation, RAWA, provides a mechanism for not directly that excise tax, but another general fund source to finance Native American tribes. It provides for 90 to 100 million a year for all the Indian tribes in the country, but it's based on a formula like we would end up with for Dickel Johnson, Pittman Robertson, sports aid, restoration aid funding. But that's real critical to get support and make sure that Senator is supportive of that. So that would be really, really important for us, because that would provide for our reservation, in my analysis, at least $200,000 to $500,000 a year base funding for our wildlife and fisheries programs.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I will happily bring that up to the senator. I'm hoping to get him up here as soon as possible. So next time he's up here, I'd love for you guys to have the chance to tell him yourself. But in the meantime, I'll gladly bring that up for him, and like to get him up here next chance I get.
Carol?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome, Peter. I just wanted to say, we'll put a position paper together so you don't have to, but I tell you, it's just welcoming to see a man walk in, or a woman walk in with a notepad and a piece of paper, willing to write down what the issues are, because I've seen that before where there was nothing and there was no follow-up. So this tribe has always put a position paper, so when you walk out the door, well, we'll send it to you and make sure that you know all the details, because that Pittman Robinson has been around forever, but you're a fairly young guy and may not know that. So we'll get that information. And of course, throughout the day, things will come up and we'll say, oh, we should have brought that up. So we might attach something else here and there
Of course, yeah. Of course.
to let you know. But thank you so much. And I'm really Sierra was the last one from this tribe that
Mhm.
worked for Tester. So yeah, welcome. And it's glad to have you on board with him, to know that we have a right-hand man right there at his side. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Councilwoman.
Any other folks? Anita?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Peter, for visiting with us. I guess what I got on my mind is the farm bills coming up in 2023. I look at the local producers here and I'm really concerned for them with the prices of hay and then the current markets.
Mhm.
And one of the things that the Biden administration was going to look into was the packers and what they're the ones making the money off of the beef industry. And when you look at the cattle back in the 1990s and they were getting 93 cents, and in 2021, the producers were getting $1.30, $1.40 a pound. And you know, it's in the eyes of everybody. I mean, you go to the grocery store, you see you're paying $5.38 a pound up to $13.14 for steak. So definitely, I'd like them to look into that and support the small producers,
Mhm.
because the USDA has programs, the disaster programs, but you have to have a disaster. But most of your producers are lucky to get $2,400 a year off disaster programs, when your bigger corporations and producers are getting 20 to 150,000 a year, you know, just as an example. So it's hard to kind of balance that out, but a lot of people have sold down this year because the price of hay went all the way up to $300 a ton.
Mhm.
And when you're getting $800, $900 for a calf in the fall, you know, you're not even paying for that two ton of hay that it costs for the mother cow.
Mhm.
So a lot of people sold down, so your inventory is going to be down. But I see a lot of people going out of it.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping between the Vilsack over at USDA and Zach Ducheneau being his undersecretary, that we can see a lot of better programs that actually hit on the ground
Mhm.
that help the producers. But I'd sure like Tester's, you know, support,
Mhm.
Senator Tester's support in all these upcoming
Of course.
programs. So if
Of
you could
course.
keep us abreast of that, I would
Yeah, of course.
really appreciate it. We've got a meeting coming up, I think March 2nd for producers, but they always come in and give us their programs, but they're hard for the eligibility. I mean, they come in every year and say, we got all these programs to help people, but we're really not getting that outreach and that education. It's
Mhm.
not hitting the farms, so.
Yeah, of course. And is that March 2nd meeting, is that open for me to come sit in on or watch in via Zoom? Do you know? Will that be available?
I'm pretty sure that Janet will probably have it to where we could do a Zoom if you
Okay,
want
I'd love to sit
attend.
on that and see what they have to say about it as well.
Yeah, because it's producers,
Of
so,
course.
yeah,
Thank you,
I'd
Councilwoman.
appreciate that.
Of course,
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Any other, yeah, Len, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council, and welcome, Peter. Thank you for taking the time to come visit with us this morning. We truly appreciate it. Not only that, it's really good to see one of our own in that position you're in. And I remember when Mike LaValle was working there also, he was very helpful to the tribes also. So I want to thank you for the hard work that you guys continue to do. I just wanted to just briefly mention that a few years back, Senator Tester took the time to come down to Elmo and visit with us.
Mhm.
And we much appreciated that. And we would like to extend another invitation to him
Okay.
to come down and visit. One of the issues that we discussed with him was the impacts of mining. We currently have a mining operation just below Chief Cliff.
Mhm.
And as you know as well as I do, this really destroys the cultural integrity of Chief Cliff. This mining operation has been going on for years and years, and it just seems to be expanding. And I know at this point in time, you know, since we're on fee property, there's really not much we could do about it. But we just wanted to bring this to his attention, or continue to bring this to his attention, to remind him of how these types of operations can really destroy sites, specifically cultural sites on Indian lands. And we would like, that's one of the reasons why I would like him to come to Elmo, to show him that, to show him exactly how this has been destroying the landscape up there. And like I said, he's aware of it, because we did bring this up to him. Peter, another issue I wanted to just briefly mention with you is one of the items that we are been seeking within our water compact is trying to expedite the process of transferring state lands to the tribes. And another issue that you're probably well aware of, this is a federal law now that acknowledges that this will happen. And we just feel we would like those lands transferred to us sooner than later. And that's that's another issue we want Senator Tester to be aware of. So thank you, Peter.
Anybody else? Just the one thing that that I would love to remind council and those that are watching is that it can be individual. It could be an individual has an issue with a particular operation or federal function or whatever, and Peter could be utilized as a speaker for that, or a conduit for that, or getting information for individual tribal members if they have lack of service for some particular thing, or and that's when a lot of times that kind of action by you, Peter, means a lot. Just that inquiry to different agencies on behalf of one of our constituents can be very beneficial. And so I want to thank you ahead of time for any of that you do that's getting down in the weeds, but that's so important, because that's really where our origin is. So we really want to thank you ahead of time for anything you might do for individual tribal members, besides our government. So we kind of hit you with more than you anticipated this morning, but that's the target you have on your back now.
No, yeah, this is great. I appreciate you guys letting me come in and take the time to take a brief moment out of your guys' meeting and introduce myself and take some of these back with me. And I hope to be back up here soon. So, and then special once again, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and members of the council, thank you so much for letting me come up. And I look forward to seeing you again.
Ellie, one more.
Really quick, Peter, he's been amazing at attending every single Montana Missing Indigenous Persons Task Force meeting that we've held since he started. So we didn't have a meeting in December or January, but we are scheduled for the 23rd at 3 if you're available. Yep. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
All right.
Thank you for coming up. And if you have a hard time finding office space in Missoula, you might be able to always come up and we might be able to help you with that. So. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. All right, next on our agenda, we have Natural Resource Department. Jason Rich.
Hey, Mr. Chair, good morning. Jace, go ahead.
Good morning, council, men and women. So today we're coming in to ask for the remaining amount of funding, your approval to fund the remaining amount on the Cskt Headworks project. This is the diversion that diverts water into the Cskt Canal that feeds the north side of the Cskt Valley. We originally started this project back in late 2019, requesting engineering services that was awarded in early 2020, followed by the CFGC process, which was awarded to Dick Anderson Construction in the early summer of 2020. And they've been along with the engineering design all the way up to today, and now in September of 2021, we asked for an amount of $1,352,131. That was for early procurement of things such as rebar, other steel, angle iron, the steel needed for the crosswalks, the bridges and whatnot to get across the eventual concrete structure that will be built at on the Cskt River. And what we're asking for today is $4,430,428.93. This amount of money is the amount remaining to fulfill the original and agreed to contract price developed with CSKT and McMillan Jacobs for Dick Anderson Construction to build the Cskt Headworks. And the total of that agreed upon price was $5,782,559.93. So today we're asking that the contract be increased by $4,430,428.93 to bring it to that total contracted price of $5.78 million.
Len, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. I'm not sure if this would be the venue to bring this issue up, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention that I think as we are moving forward with the construction of the irrigation project, I think it is very imperative that we stay connected to our Indian Preference Office to assure our contractors that are working on these projects are in compliance and that they are complying with the 25% tribal member hiring on these projects, because that's one of the issues that keeps brought up is how many tribal members are currently working as we started the irrigation project, you know? And I know that in the past, Dick Anderson Construction has been very good about hiring tribal members, but we just need to make sure that our Indian Preference Office are monitoring these projects, making sure our members are getting the employment that they all qualify for. So just wanted to mention that. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Councilman Two Teeth, IPO has been very involved with this, and what the main subcontractor for Dick Anderson is an Indian Preference Office contractor on this project. We've had on-site meetings with them.
Thank you, Jace. Bing?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jace, yesterday we talked a little bit about projects and stuff, and I was telling Chairman and some of the council members here that I kind of thought maybe everything was kind of going kind of stagnant. We never heard anything about any construction or anything on these canals and what was going on with them. And I think, it'd be pretty nice, you guys come in and let us know, where you're at, what's been done and whatnot with these canals. And I don't know where, how much work's got done up there on the Falls Creek area and whatnot up there. So I was just wanting to kind of, have you guys come in and keep us a little updated anyway on the progress that you guys are doing. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Councilman Matt, we will, we can make that happen. This project, obviously, I've talked to you guys very early on in my position here. We've ran into some permitting issues with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and we had a really conducive meeting last week with them. But our hope was actually to have started construction in the fall of 21 on this. And here we are looking at spring. We're actually, because of runoff and stuff, we've kind of slowed them down and said we're shooting for June of 2022. So hopefully we've come to an understanding with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Mr. Makepeace is going to work with them to develop a plan going forward to help expedite our permits with Fish and Wildlife related to ESA and biological opinions. And then that should be conducive to us getting these projects available to contractors sooner and hopefully help us develop a tribal workforce. We've talked a little bit to you in the past about Jocko Canals. That's a completely separate project, but we're working in detail there with IPO to really target tribal general contractors to do that work.
Thank you, Jason. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to make the motion to approve modification 1 to the K Canal project specified in the MOU or the contract mod. Thank you.
Motion by Martin to approve the contract modification number 1 for the Dick Anderson contract. Second by Bing. All those in favor, show a sign of hands. Unanimous. Thank you, Jace. And again, we look forward to updates, best you can on how we can do it. We want to know how we can assist in any limiting factors to make sure we're moving forward that we can. So from staffing to permitting, anything we can do to help out, we certainly want to do that, Jace. So appreciate it. Thank you. Yep. Anita.
So Jace, you were talking about runoff. Will this in any way affect the irrigation season coming up in 2 months?
Woman, Matt, no, the entire project was designed around the irrigation season. So we will be able to divert and meet the needs of the north end of the Jocko Valley. And so we got to start on a new emergency spillway or an overflow spillway. So we'll start there, and then after irrigation season ends, early September, we'll begin work on the current inlet and the diversion dam itself. And we'll use the emergency spillway to divert the river flow in the fall months and winter months when flows are actually typically at their lowest for the Jocko. So I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen of council today, and I appreciate your time and support.
Thank you, Jace. Bing or Jimmy has a question or statement.
Yeah, no, just a comment. I just wanted to, Jace, it's been a long time coming and looking forward to it. Thank you.
Yes, sir, we all are. Thank you guys for your support.
Anything else, Rich?
Not with Jace. I know we have Whisper waiting, so we're good with Jace and Alyssa. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, if Whisper is ready, I think we can. If not, we can take.
If you need whatever, I can wait or go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Whisper.
Okay, well, Hesquext and Kisuk Witlam. I'm here to talk today about the Yellowstone bison hunts and what's going on with that. We've got John Harrison with us as well, and he's been the one who's mainly been tracking this for us, and I'm new to the process, so I'm learning as I go. But the brief update that I want to give is about our CSKT Yellowstone treaty hunt that concluded on January 31st. And I messaged with Dan. We had 0 tribal hunters take any bison in the hunt this year. I think that they just weren't out and available for people. I don't know, Dan, if you want to really quick give a little update on that.
Absolutely. So yeah, bottom line was there was no migration through the whole entire hunt season for us. The bison never really left their summer pastures, so they were in the middle of the park for the whole year. There was just before our season ended, there was about 100 head just south of Mammoth, but they were there for a week and a half. So. And I don't know what the migration has been since our season ended.
We participated in the weekly calls that occur while there are tribes out hunting on the landscape. I believe that everybody's done now. From what I remember from the update, other tribes were taking elk in the area versus because the bison weren't coming out. CSKT did not take elk in that area, but that is what some of the other tribes were doing under their rights. The interagency bison management plan, the partners, and I think Tom was in on that meeting on December 1st to finalize the 2022 winter operations plan. Under that continuing goal of managing a stable or declining Yellowstone bison herd. There was a recommendation for the 2022 winter ops to cull or reduce the herd by 600 to 900 bison, with an additional 200 if the conditions allowed or required it. The Yellowstone staff are able to take that, and they're recommending concentrating on females in the northern herd that migrate out of Yellowstone National Park near Gardner. And they are not recommending the removal of any from the central herd that migrate out toward west. And so the Stevens Creek trapping facility will continue to be utilized for trapping and shipping operations. And they've actually expanded as part of an increase in that operational quarantine program that helps to translocate bison to other tribal and state lands like Fort Peck. And the Nez Perce Tribe Executive Council did not authorize their representative to sign the winter ops plan. So there's a little bit of some challenge there, whether we're operating under the 2021 plan that was an estimate of 500 to 700 animals to be culled, or if the group is considering them as abstaining from decisions and will still go to the 600 to 900. So either way, we didn't take any bison. There's still quite a large number to be culled. So we may see some in the shipping process that comes here. Amanda has already been calling processors in the areas where we can take them. She's been calling Big Timber and Helena, and actually found one in Lewiston. Lewiston, and that they should be able to take 5 or 6 loads a week if it comes up to that to be processed. And she's gearing up and getting ready for that work. The EIS, the Yellowstone Park Bison EIS, they will be developing a new bison management plan in order to address changes to the circumstances over the 22 years of the IBMP. Maybe John could inform that, because my total understanding is not fully like why we're doing that.
Sure. Well, Whisper's done a great job picking up the Bison staff. We've had a lot of turnover and changes. Certainly the chairman's aware of that. He used to be the Bison staff lead, but she's done an awesome job, and appreciate all the folks who are getting up to speed. This is something that's been going on for years, and there's a lot to process, but done a great job, the whole wildlife staff. And so I appreciate all the support I get from them on these issues, particularly as I go out to do the legal and the advocacy stuff. So just want to say they do an awesome job, and makes my job a lot easier. And this will be one of the things we have to do is the EIS will be a cooperating agency in the new park EIS. It kind of bootstraps into one of the update issues, which is the neighbors argument just got done on Friday. Right after that was the Cottonwood Law Center argument, which is it was a similar issue. They were trying to drag the state into stuff. One of the issues is to put a timeline and almost have a court-ordered or a court order demanding a timeline for the new EIS, and almost have a court kind of monitored process. I don't know that the Ninth Circuit will go that far, but they may order a timeline, which would mean the park is going to have to really crank, all the folks here know how long a NEPA document could take when it's really complex. And these guys may be really having a court watch them. We'll see. There'll be an order coming out. I'm not sure when. It could be the shortest 6 weeks. It could take 6 months. I don't think they'll do that because we have a timeline. With that said, the park has, there's changed conditions with the expanded habitat, all stuff that everybody here is aware of over the years that we've been part of as the IBMP partner. But they've got 3 preliminary alternatives. One is to basically just leave things the way they are, just manage as we're going with a few updates, tighten up some things, put some things in our documents that reflect the current conditions. A second alternative would be to focus on enhanced restoration, even within the park, and possibly the chairman might be happy with. They're talking about some active management within the park, maybe some burning, maybe some trying to create some other ways of exiting the park, maybe getting that Eagle Creek herd memory back, so they're not just exiting out of the Beatty Gulch area. And they would really look at trying to partner with tribes on a lot of stuff. They called it, they termed that alternative enhanced restoration and tribal engagement. Both where we are now and alternative 1 and alternative 2, the enhanced restoration and tribal engagement, I think would include reflect the ability to carry a larger population than we have currently in the IBMP, which is 3,000 to 3,300. Right now, we're operating near 5,000. I don't know that that's exactly where they want to be, but they would increase the population in that document. Alternative 3 would be just natural selection, food limitations and hunting for population, winter kill. And they would just let natural conditions determine the population. I think we're already seeing pushback from the livestock folks on that, but they're going to analyze it. So the tribes will be a cooperating agency. So the Bison staff will be part of that, and however involved the council members want to be. But we'll track it and we'll update you guys regularly. We had a pre-scoping consultation meeting a while back. I know the chair was part of that. And we'll continue with consultation on that when things get moving. But we'll be part of it, and we'll keep the council updated, and we'll do our part and see where we end up. So I'll turn that back over to Whisper.
Hey, John, just one question. I believe there might have been a meeting the other day. They were the park superintendent was referencing something from this last week or so in regard to their bison management plan for the park. So in that restoration one, are they still talking about finding ways to get buffalo up into the Taylor Fork?
I'd imagine that would have to be part of it. Yeah, on the west side, because that would be part of that. Alternative 2 would be utilizing the expanded habitat and increasing population use of that expanded habitat, both on the north side and the west side. So I would imagine that Taylor Fork option would have to be explored. I don't know if it means replacing bison in the Taylor Fork or increasing the conditions and enhancing them in a way where they would get up there and utilize that area. But I could tell you that at the last IBMP meeting, there wasn't much of a discussion on it. My guess is maybe it could be a suggested agenda item to have a deeper discussion on that. It's been a while since there was any real discussion on that. I think you know that. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But it's certainly, you know, as a cooperating agency, we could push for that and, you know, and say that needs to be something that has a larger focus.
Thanks, John.
And then lastly, we have the CMR Bison introduction consultation that occurred with the tribes. And so we supported a proposal first developed by the National Wildlife Federation and the U of M Law School Indian Law Clinic for establishing a tribally managed bison herd on the CM Russell Wildlife Refuge. And that would include starting the herd from the Yellowstone bison that had completed quarantine in their facilities. And so there was some meetings in December of 2021 where it was kind of a listening session and just letting people know what was happening. The Fish and Wildlife Service seemed prepared to move forward with substantive consultation for developing that herd and having tribal consultation and co-management in that area. So we're keeping an eye on that and have been supportive of it and want to be included in that work. They're looking at the end of January or sometime in February for their next consultation. I haven't heard anything from them yet, so must be sometime in February, which we're quickly ticking away. So we'll hear back from them soon. And yeah, just to include that Shannon Claremont will be one of our representatives working on all things bison for CSKT, since he's our lead bison range wildlife biologist. And to introduce Carrie Enos, if you guys haven't met her before, she's our new wildlife program manager for the program since I moved on to the division manager, and she's on the call. And I think that's all I have, John, unless there's something I missed that we should bring up, and I would take any questions.
No, I think we're good. I would just mention that there are a couple tribes still hunting. Today is the last day of the state hunt. They're now off the ground after sundown today. The hunt manager calls are still continuing, but there's been Whisper's right, there's no harvest. And, you know, Dan was aware of the movement. There's not really much movement either. So the Nez Perce will be there till March. The Umatilla will be there till the end of the month. Blackfeet, I'm not sure, but they've been down there harvesting elk, and the crow have as well. It's just been pretty sparse. So I would think, you know, Amanda runs an amazing operation, and I think she's going to be pretty busy because they're going to end up having to do a lot of trapping this year. So we'll see what happens with that, but that's all I'd say. I think Whisper did a great job doing a review. So if there's any questions, I'll just defer to her.
Thank you, and congratulations, Carrie, on your position. That's outstanding, and your talents will be utilized in that position. So couldn't be a better person. Congratulations. Just one other update on the. I think Lynn forwarded an email to me, at least as far as the restoration of buffalo on BLM and the CMR area. I think it's going to be a discussion point at the Rocky Mountain Leaders Council coming up on their next agenda next month, I believe, or next Monday. Yes. So Tom France and company might be doing a presentation and update on that. So thank you. Appreciate the update, and carry on the good work. We did have one discussion point this morning, Whisper and Rich, and that had to do with trying to work on the agency community. And one of those items was probably enhancing that area by taking the impromptu boat ramp that lies within the old Folsom Pole Yard and making that an official access site to the river and develop it and provide some extra cleanup there and tack the FWIS account for some of that work and planning. So we can meet with that at another day and time. I just want to give you a heads up on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to let you know, we are beginning discussions on that boat ramp in the Dixon area. So I am aware, and thank you, Councilwoman Matt. We look forward to doing some good things down there, continually doing good things.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Nope, seeing none. Thank you. Next on our agenda, we will have 3 chiefs, but I think we'll probably take a break, 5-minute break real quick, and then come back with Marie and Michelle. So take a quick break.